What you need to know about quotas on this Authentic Selling TV. What the heck is a quota anyway? Now, if you are a corporate sales rep, you're like, oh, wait, this is too elementary for me. I know what quotas are, but stick with me because I'm going to give you some tips and tricks to make sure that you hit that quota. But I'm a word nerd. And so just so we're all on the same page and there is no miscommunication, what is a quota? Quota is a word that we used when, and it's still used. A quota is a word that is basically a goal. It's usually a sales goal. Quota can be percent of market share. Quota can be number of sales. Quota can be number of people in a program. So if you are selling anything, you use quotas. And we're going to talk about some mistakes, especially in the online world, that people make with quotas in just a minute. But before we do that, here are some best practices for you to hit your quota. Remember, quota is just a sales goal, right? So research shows and proves that writing your quota down means you are so much more likely to hit that goal. Now, if you're an online entrepreneur, let's say that you are trying to fill a certain number of coaching spots or a certain number of slots in a program. One of the things that I have businesses do when we work with them is get a little sticky note, put it on their computer and write down the number that we're trying to hit, right? Are we trying to get 10 people? Are we trying to get 10,000 people? And every time that there's a sale, we mark it off. So the goal is to get to either count up to 10 or when we're in the online world, I usually count down to 0, meaning there are no spots left. We are full. So write your quota down. Keep track of your quota. And if you are a corporate sales rep, you may be like, well, my computer does this for me, or my CRM does this for me. And of course it does. But there is something, I can't explain it, I don't know why, but there is something energetically, maybe, I don't know, energy is not my expertise, about actually writing it down, right? So let's say that you are a corporate sales rep and your goal is to have X number of dollars in sales this month. And you've got 100 people that you're calling on. It's not likely that you know the exact breakdown of where those sales are going to come from, right? But it's a really good idea if you were calling on repeat customers. If you have a route and you're calling on people that you see regularly, to say, do the same thing we do in the online world. My quota is $100,000 in sales. You know, I am going to go to Dr. W and try to get Dr. W to write my drug for 4 new patients this month, which would equate to $20,000 in new sales. I'm making this up. So one of the things that corporate sales reps do is they leave their quota to chance, right? I'm just going to call on my doctors. I'm just going to hit my frequency goal and hope that I hit my goal. But really, what you need to do to give yourself a better chance is know this is my quota. And here is my plan. Your plan is not just to hit your frequency goal or your number of times that you're supposed to see a certain doctor. It is really, who do I have good enough relationships with? Who do I see enough that can create this additional amount of sales? Now, if you're in the online world, you're probably like, my head's spinning. Like, what the what? Here's the deal. Selling is selling. So ultimately, corporate selling and online selling, you're doing the same thing, right? You want to look at your quota. If you have an incredible product or service in the online world and you want to get 100 people to pay $2.99 for that product, but you only have 10 people on an email list, the math doesn't add up. So in corporate selling, lots of times the company sets the quota for us. We don't have control over that. In an online business, we are the CEOs of our business, and lots of times we set our own quota. But one of the biggest mistakes that people make is their quotas are just outlandish. There is no way that that's going to happen. So I'm going to tell you a statistic that's pretty demoralizing, but stick with me. I'm not going to leave you there in demoralization land. Statistics show, especially when selling a course, that about 1 to 3% of your list converts. 1 to 3. So if you got 10 people on your list and you're trying to sell 100 spots and 1 to 3% is going to convert, you're going to be disappointed every time. And in the online world, there is so much drama in the LBC, Snoop D-O-double-G. There's so much drama in the online world around launches. And so much drama around should you launch, should you not launch? Launching makes me crazy. Maybe I'm crazy, right? And so there's all this push and these really trending marketing messages to go to Evergreen. But Evergreen has got its own problems too. So one of the ways that we can work around this drama is to have really clear quotas. If you've got 7,000 people on your email list, but only 100 people show up to a webinar, you are basing your quota off of the 100 people who show up to a webinar, not the 7,000 people on your email list. We create drama in the online world when we set these quotas that are just too big and impossible for us to hit. And I think that a part of that comes from people not giving us the whole picture about what their launches look like. You know, I got 5,000 people in here. I made $18 million. Yeah, what's the rest of the story there? So, number one, a quota is a sales goal. You need it in corporate selling. You need it in online selling. You need it when you're selling coaching, consulting. You need it when you're selling pharmaceuticals or cell phones. You need to know, what is my target? If you don't have a target, you have nothing to aim for. You have nothing to gauge your success against. So, I don't know if y'all know this, but I'm from the South. I know, right? And this is not a political statement. That's not what this is about. But growing up in the South, I have shot a gun before. And when you target practice, you have a target that you shoot for. I'm trying to get the bullet, the rubber bullet, to go into that target, right? Again, not a political statement. Just go with the analogy here. Well, if I don't have a target, I don't know what I'm shooting at. I don't know what to aim for. So if there's no target there, I don't even know if I've missed a target. And I don't know how to course correct. So sales quotas are your target. They're important. Sales quotas also, a missed sales quota is an opportunity for you to see what worked and what didn't. So let's drill back up. Number one, what is a quota? It's your sales goal. It's your sales target. Who needs quotas? Anybody selling anything. And just to be clear, you may think you're not in sales, but if you are the provider of a product or service online, somebody's got to sell it, whether it's you or somebody else. So anybody selling anything needs a quota. Step 3, write your quota down. You track your quota. So it's not enough just to have a number to track to. You need to say, great, I am going to get X number of sales. How am I going to get that? Am I going to, in a corporate situation, am I going to call on these people? Am I going to do lunches for these people? Like, be more strategic rather than just, oh yeah, I'm supposed to call on these people 12 times this month. Have a strategy. In the online world, how am I going to hit it? Do your math. So if 1 to 3% of your list is going to convert, is your quota even realistic? And if not, what do we do about it? All of that will eliminate some of the drama surrounding hitting and missing quotas. But a really important question, especially in the online world and in the corporate side, this is a little bit harder to do, but is to say, does your quota work for you? So I know that we referenced the drama and how launches can make you crazy. Maybe I'm crazy. Is that Gnarls Barkley? I always think of Aaron Tveit from Moulin Rouge, but you know, whatever. If your quota isn't working for you, you're going to see it. You're going to feel it in your body. You're going to get some of that drama around launches that I referenced earlier. Your quota needs to work for you kind of mind, body, and spirit. So what do I mean about that? Well, in your mind, you need to be able to do just what we role modeled. You need to strategize a plan to hit that goal. What is the strategy, right? Do you know how to do that? If it's the first time you're delivering a webinar or a free training, then I guarantee you're going to learn something by doing that you didn't know before. So probably it's not your first is not going to be your highest converting ever, right? So your quota needs to work for your mind. You need to be able to see, this is my sales goal. This is where I am. Here are the 14 steps I'm going to take to hit this sales goal. If you don't know how to do that, then it's not working for your mind. You need help with the plan. Mind, body. Your quota needs to work for your body. One of the mistakes that people make a lot of times is when it gets down to crunch time, they think I'm just going to push through. And I am so guilty of this. I am a hustler. I will go until... Actually, I will go, and I will give until I am a hot mess on the couch and can't literally stand up. So, preaching to the choir here. But if your quota doesn't work for your body, it means that you are working 14-hour days over and over and over. It means that you're doing 24 sales calls in 48 hours. It means that your body is so tired that you just need to crash. I know that we have seasons of hustling. I know that we have seasons of this is a launch and we've got to do these things. But also we need to make sure that within those seasons that we are still not giving people muddy water. So, if you're so diluted that all you can pour out is just muddy water and exhaustion, then your quota is probably not working for your body. I'll give you an example in corporate selling. So let's say your quota, let's say you have a quota of you need to see 10 doctors a day. Okay? I use lots of pharmaceutical sales references because I used to sell drugs, the legal kind. Again, not a political statement about pro, con, whatever. It's what I did. And so you're supposed to see 10 doctors. Yet you've got to go to 4 different states in one day to see 10 doctors. That likely doesn't work for your body. I mean, like being in the car 18 hours a day when there are only 24 hours a day, like that doesn't work, right? So does the quota work for your mind? Do you understand the strategy? Does it work for your body or is it killing your body? And then does it work for your spirit or your soul? So what do I mean about that? Well, if a quota doesn't work for your spirit or your soul, then likely you are selling something that you're not on board with. So if you're like, I don't really care if that number gets sold. It's like Chandler on Friends. If I don't input those numbers, ... Nobody knows what happens. Like that was the literal line in the show. If I don't input those numbers, I actually don't know what happens. So if you have a crisis of spirit with your quota, if your quota is not working for your spirit, I am going to encourage you to take a long look at what you're selling. Do you believe in it? Do you know the life-changing difference it makes? I don't care if you're selling a cell phone, if you're selling lipstick, or if you're selling a heart medicine that saves lives. You got to believe in it. And so a crisis of spirit with a quota that doesn't work with your spirit is again going to push your guardrail. It's going to feel icky, sleazy, slimy, gross, crusty, musty, rusty, dusty. I'll give you a personal example. When I was fresh out of college, I took a job working for a company in Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm not very good at numbers, yet I got a job at this finance company, which, ding, 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 that should have been a red flag, but I digress. And after I went through training and I was selling, it was a sales job, I was like, I don't know about this. So basically, this is how it worked. Let's say that you were going to buy a new mattress and you got your mattress same as cash for 6 months, meaning you didn't pay any interest for it. I worked for the company that financed that. So we would pull your credit, we would look and say, yeah, we'll give this wonderful person 6 months same as cash. But that also meant that I got access to your credit. And so I would start telemarketing you. I know it's disgusting, go with the analogy. And I was fresh out of college, I didn't know. And I would try to sell you a credit card or I would try to sell you a this. But then as I was successful selling those things, they wanted me to sell mortgages. High interest, ridiculously, really questionable mortgages. Actually, those mortgages that the government came in and shut down back in the early 2000s, that's what they wanted me to do. And the more I learned about what we were doing, the more I realized personally I wasn't on board with that. I had a crisis of character. So I quit my job, went home, fresh out of college, told my parents I quit my job, and my mom was like, how are you going to pay your bills? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. And I was unemployed for a really long time, and it was awful. But I could not pick up the phone and sell a mortgage loan that I felt was unethical. That's the kind of crisis of spirit, right? I could hit the quota. I was getting promoted, but it was a crisis of spirit. I literally wanted to crawl in a hole and die those days. So that's a dramatic one. But a crisis of spirit could also be that you just really don't care. Like you're selling lumber and you're like, I really don't care. I don't care if that OSB sells or not. You may continue to do that until you find a new job, but it needs to work for you. So, what is a quota? It's your sales goal. Who needs quotas? Anybody selling anything. B2B, B2C, online entrepreneurs, you all need quotas. How do you set a quota? Well, lots of times in B2B, it's set for us. In the online world, 1 to 3% of your list is going to convert. And I know that's demoralizing, but keep watching this channel because I'm going to tell you what to do, how to make money sooner rather than later, even if you got 10 people on your list. How can we ensure that you are more likely to hit said quota? Write it down, step 1, and develop a strategy. And your strategy is not just what your company tells you to do. Your strategy is not just what all the online experts tell you to do. Have a webinar, send this number of emails. Have a strategy. If you don't know how to do that, then your quota is not working for your mind. And that's probably a sign you need some help, and that's okay. That's where a consultant would come in. Ask yourself, is my quota working for my body, right? Am I having to work 18 hours a day, 7 days a week to make this sucker work? Because that isn't going to work. At some point, you're going to give out. I don't care how tough you are. And then does your quota work for your soul or your spirit? Is it crushing you? Is it taking that spark that makes you so incredibly special and dulling it? Then we probably need to have a different conversation about how you get OUT. The best piece of advice I can give you around quotas is quotas can be such a charged word. The best piece of advice I can give you is write it down and develop a strategy to hit it. You are going to be so far ahead of everybody else if you actually take the time to put a strategy to it, especially if you're selling to corporate. The strategy needs to be different than just I'm supposed to call on this person X amount of times or I take them biscuits on Monday morning. For more incredible, fabulous sales tips to help you find and close more customers and exceed those quotas, ring that bell, oh yeah. And I believe in you and I believe in your business. Bye y'all.